Well, let's discuss all of this now. Joining me in the studio tonight is Behnam Ben Taleblu, Iran Programme Senior Director at the Foundation for Defence of Democracies. Always good to have you with us. Thanks for taking the time. So we've had this warning from the UN nuclear watchdog saying that Iran is significantly growing its uranium stockpile. How significant do you see this as being?
Pleasure to be with you. Listen, I think the IAEA is trying to ring the alarm bell as best as possible and keep its reports as technical as possible. But no doubt this is a highly charged political environment because while all eyes have been on the 5 rounds of U.S.-Iran direct or indirect, depending on who you believe, negotiations, be it in Rome or in Muscat in Oman, the more important track, I would actually say, is the IAEA-Iran track, because no matter what kind of deal you have, with some enrichment, no enrichment, delayed enrichment, it is the IAEA that is going to have to be monitoring and verifying all of what Iran is doing, whether that's complying with a dismantlement agreement or any other kind of agreement.
Well, just focusing then on the role of the UN nuclear watchdog then, it says that there could be consequences for Tehran. Tehran has said that it will comply with whatever has been found, but what would that look like? What would that mean for Iran?
Well, realistically, there is a glide path to significantly more consequences, not just for the growing stockpile of 60% enriched uranium, which is a hop, skip, and a jump to weapons grade, which is purely 90%. The glide path for pressure is early this June. There will be another Board of Governors meeting of the IAEA. If the Europeans and the Americans really do push for a tough resolution of censure, that could create the political space for the referral again to the Security Council. And then this summer, as we know, is really the last window to use the snapback mechanism to restore all the previous UN sanctions that otherwise, if not done, under the Iran nuclear deal, would expire by October of this year. So there's a real path to use this report for meaningful pressure.
So you've got that one political pathway, of course, all of this coming at a time when there have been these closely watched negotiations with the United States. What do you think that means for the prospects of a deal?
Well, I think Iran's diplomatic play here is to try to elevate the political track and downplay the technical track, to try to heighten the consequences for the Trump administration of having no deal, and at the same time have that whatever framework or deal that may come about overshadow whatever concerns, long-standing technical concerns that the IAEA has, including still over 3 or 4 previously undeclared nuclear sites. So I think all eyes will be on how Tehran tries to spin this report, but more importantly now, if they accept this new proposal from the Trump administration.
So what could that look like then from Iran if they try from their side to increase the pressure on the United States?
It's a game of chicken now. Washington also has significant leverage here. One reason why Iran is talking to Trump, one reason why Iran even allegedly has offered to pause uranium enrichment is because it understands of the vulnerabilities it faces, not just in the region, but with respect to potentially an Israeli strike, an American strike, and even the real diplomatic consequences that rest with the Europeans. Again, that's a trigger they could pull up until October of this year.
Let's just touch then on what we could potentially see from Israel. Already the Israeli government making comments in the wake of this report today saying that Iran is totally determined to acquire nuclear weapons. Your thoughts on what we could see from Israel now?
I certainly see the Israelis preparing, deal or no deal, to make sure the military option, at least from them, is a credible military option. No doubt the question of timing, coordination, all of these things rest within the larger contours of not just the U.S.-Israel relationship, but of increasing importance, the Bibi-Trump relationship. But I think the Israelis are trying to show the world, in particular the Iranians, that there will be teeth and that there will be consequences. The Iranian play is to try to use the Americans against the Israelis. So long as they believe that they can talk to Trump, the Israelis are not shooting. But what happens if those negotiations collapse? What happens if the IAEA report impacts those negotiations? And what happens if those negotiations succeed? Then Israel, as well as everyone else looking to pressure the regime, goes back to the drawing board.
So just briefly sketch out that scenario. A lot of unknowns at this stage, but what could we see?
Well, there is a lot of unknowns, but I would say keep your eyes peeled on the early June IAEA board meeting. That's the thing that will determine how everyone else responds. If there is a really tough resolution of censure, perhaps it's a sign that the Europeans and the Americans will come together for that diplomatic pathway for snapback.
Behnam Ben Taleblu, Iran Programme Senior Director at the Foundation for Defence of Democracies. Really good to have your analysis. Thank you.
Thank you.